The homelessness crisis in America is one of the most visible and heartbreaking issues of our time. Across the country, millions of people do not have a stable place to call home. They sleep in shelters, on sidewalks, under bridges, in their cars, and in makeshift tents. For many, homelessness is not just about lacking a roof. It is about losing stability, security, and dignity. The problem has been growing for decades, and despite efforts by governments and charities, the crisis continues to expand. When we talk about homelessness, it's important to understand that it does not happen overnight. For most people, it is the result of a series of events: job loss, rising rent, medical bills, mental health struggles, or addiction. Once someone loses their home, it becomes extremely difficult to get back on their feet. Employers often hesitate to hire those without a permanent address, and landlords usually require proof of income that homeless individuals cannot provide. It becomes a cycle that is hard to escape. Housing costs are one of the biggest drivers of homelessness in America. In cities like Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, and Seattle, rent prices have skyrocketed over the last 2 decades. Many working people simply cannot afford to live in the places where they work. Families are forced to spend the majority of their income just to keep a roof over their heads. When an emergency strikes, such as losing a job or facing unexpected medical expenses, people often fall behind on rent, leading to eviction and homelessness. Shelters exist in most cities, but they are often overcrowded, underfunded, and unsafe. Some people prefer to live on the streets or in tents rather than risk being in a shelter where theft, violence, and poor conditions are common. Families with children face an especially difficult challenge, as shelters may not always have enough space to keep families together. Many children grow up experiencing homelessness, moving from one temporary situation to another, which affects their education and mental health. Mental health issues and substance abuse also play a role in the homelessness crisis. While not every homeless person struggles with these problems, many do. Without access to affordable health care or rehabilitation programs, people often spiral deeper into poverty. A person suffering from untreated mental illness may lose their job, lose contact with family, and eventually end up on the streets. Addiction can also push people into homelessness, and once they are living outside, it becomes even harder to recover. The criminal justice system has also contributed to the crisis. Many people leaving prison or jail have nowhere to go, no job opportunities, and no support system. Without housing or income, they often end up homeless. At the same time, being homeless can make someone a target for constant policing. Many cities issue fines for loitering, sleeping outside, or setting up tents. Homeless individuals cannot pay these fines, which leads to arrests, jail time, and a deeper cycle of poverty. One of the most disturbing aspects of homelessness in America is the rise of tent cities. Across major cities, entire communities of homeless people live in makeshift camps using tarps, blankets, and cardboard for shelter. These camps often lack access to clean water, toilets, and basic sanitation. They are regularly cleared by city authorities, forcing people to move again and again. Despite this, the camps continue to grow, a sign of how deep and persistent the crisis has become. It is important to understand that homelessness does not affect only one type of person. Veterans, single mothers, families with children, teenagers, the elderly, and even full-time workers can all find themselves without a home. Veterans make up a large portion of the homeless population, often due to post-traumatic stress disorder, injuries, and the challenges of reintegrating into civilian life. Youth homelessness is also rising, especially among LGBTQ teens who are rejected by their families. The impact of homelessness spreads far beyond the individuals who experience it. Cities spend millions of dollars on emergency services, shelters, and policing related to homelessness. Hospitals treat homeless patients who cannot pay their bills. Businesses struggle in areas with high levels of street homelessness, as customers may avoid those neighborhoods. It is a social issue, but also an economic one that affects everyone in the community. Some solutions do exist. Programs known as Housing First have shown promise by focusing on providing stable housing before addressing other issues like mental health or addiction. The idea is simple. Once a person has a safe place to live, they are in a much better position to deal with the challenges in their life. Studies have shown that this approach saves money in the long run by reducing hospital visits, jail time, and emergency services. Another important step is to increase the supply of affordable housing. America has millions of people working full-time jobs who still cannot afford rent. Building more low-income housing, providing rent assistance, and strengthening tenant protections could help prevent people from becoming homeless in the first place. Prevention is just as important as helping those who are already on the streets. Charities and community groups also play a major role. From food banks to outreach teams, countless volunteers work to support people living without homes. While these efforts are important, they cannot solve the crisis alone. Homelessness is too large and too complex to be handled by charity alone. It requires coordinated action from governments at the local, state, and federal levels. The homelessness crisis is not just about numbers and statistics. It is about human beings. Each person living on the streets has a story. Some once had good jobs and stable lives before an illness or financial setback pushed them over the edge. Others grew up in foster care, never having a stable family. Some are young runaways escaping abuse. Others are elderly people who cannot survive on small pensions or Social Security. Every homeless person you see represents a story of struggle, resilience, and survival. As we think about this crisis, we must also remember the human side. It is easy to walk past a homeless person and ignore them, but compassion is the first step to change. Homelessness is not just a personal failure, it is often the result of broken systems, rising costs, and lack of support. If society chooses to treat homeless people with dignity, invest in housing, and provide the right support systems, the crisis can be reduced. In conclusion, the homelessness crisis in America is one of the greatest challenges facing the nation today. It reflects deeper problems: poverty, inequality, unaffordable housing, lack of health care, and weak social safety nets. Solutions will not be simple, and they will not happen overnight. But ignoring the problem only makes it worse. Every person deserves a safe place to sleep at night, and until that basic need is met, the crisis will continue to grow. The question is whether America has the will to face this issue directly and make the changes needed to ensure that no one is left without a home.